This chapter contains themes of child abuse, slavery, rape, nudity, and patriarchal attitudes. Medieval life was often violent and cruel. This chapter is not suitable for children, and some adults may find it disturbing.
My name is Maurko Hamalgrar. In the summer of 39, I accepted a first-of-its-kind position in a first-of-its-kind publication. Editor-in-Chief of the Kordavan Informant, commonly referred to as the KI. Little did I realize that this responsibility would become my life's calling, delivering the news. Before my arrival, the KI was knee-deep in the riffraff of tabloid sensationalism. However, I was brought in to change all that. Legitimacy, integrity, truth. These would be the KI's new mandate. Or at least that was the plan. Where to start? At the beginning is as good a place as any. I remember the first time I met Yo, boldly barging into my office, demanding information as if I was the ancient sage of the mountain. The nerve! And yet, despite his cocky confidence and devil-may-care attitude, he had a boyish charm, gumption, impossible not to admire, so I answered his damn question. The expression, "It's fate," is an overused platitude, as if mortals were somehow manipulated by the strings of a cosmic puppeteer, their actions not their own. But still, there was no denying something larger was guiding young Yonnus Octoni's life. Who am I kidding? No one controlled Yo. The city of Augstat, the kingdom of Hesse. Roughly 50,000 souls inhabited the capital city of the kingdom of Hesse, a small establishment by imperial standards. There were more sizable jewels in the crown, such as Seratov, Regis, Bontois, and the city of Gleam. Despite some derision as a backwater and politically stunted city, however, Augstat was by far the most affluent and vital port on the continent of Nysia. The 36th year of Emperor Kordava's reign. Guildhouse, the district of guilds. All businesses in Hesse were organized into guilds, and all guild headquarters were located in Guildhouse. Over time, Guildhouse had become the metonymy for industrious Hessian work ethics, the envy of the business world. Within this bustling city stood a small, family-run business, Octoni Armory and Smithworks. Fed off the marrow of Soldat Vague, one of Augstat's busiest arterials, the street was clogged day and night by those delivering goods and services from kingdoms, territories, and trading posts the world over. If the ancient cobblestone street could tell tales, it would regale an audience with stories of high commerce, dwarves, and the dark times before Emperor Kordavan. But the bustle wasn't limited to just the street. Brothers dueled. Yonnus versus Godi.
I win again!
Because you have the spear. Why do you always get to play Kordavan?
Because I always win.
Godi and Yo were half-brothers, prone to quarrels, in constant competition, vying for dominance over each other and for the affection of their parents. But, as often was the case when it came to brotherly contests, age usually won over determination.
See? If I got to use the spear, things would be different.
Godi was older,
I don't think so.
stronger, and merciless. Much like
Father,
Yonnus Octoni was an Ardayan blacksmith like his father's father before him, and so on down the line. If he could teach his sons properly, they would continue this legacy of a time-honored profession.
done for the day?
That was my last delivery. You're ready to work with me tomorrow?
Yes, sir. And on Tradecraft day to boot.
Yo, tend to their horses.
But when it came to training, especially tasks involving mindless drudgery, the lion's share fell to Yonnus. The dinner hour. By the time Yonnus finished his chores, his mother, Carlina, had already served his father and brother their evening meal.
Yonnus, bring your sister to the table.
Come here. Yes.
Yasmin, Yonnus's younger sister, was the spitting image of her mother.
What happened to Cece?
She tended wounds, both real and imagined.
Daddy hurt her.
Injuries in this home were all too commonplace. Yonnus and Yasmin ate with their mother after Godi and his father finished, as was customary at every evening meal. A sickle sword of Ardayan influence and design, newly forged, lay on the table in front of Godi.
What's that?
Father made it for me for Tradecraft day. It's flawless. It even has my name on it.
Yo's mother didn't like tools from the workshop in the family great room. But no matter how much she complained, they always wormed their way in. She also didn't abide foolishness, especially the kind of foolishness men and boys were prone to when they wrapped their knuckles around the hilt of a blade.
Not at the table!
May I hold it?
Like you'd know what to do with a real sword.
In a few years, I'm gonna be the best swordsman in all of Augstat.
You're not even better than me.
Enough! Neither of you will ever be swordsmen. You're going to run the metalworks like your father. End of story. Besides, I have something for you that's better than a sword. Here.
Yonnus, put them down.
Shush, woman.
What are they?
Rewards for a job well done. One day you too will earn these. Put them in the jar.
Those tags are filthy.
A little filth is good for the soul, no.
Wash your hands after handling those things.
Uh-oh.
No!
Yonnus frantically corralled the scattered tags amid the broken glass,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
knowing full well what was coming. A teachable moment.
I'm sorry.
Powerless and terrified.
Finish your dinner.
The family suffered alongside Yonnus. Long past the witching hour, when young lads should be dreaming of daring do and heroic feats, Yonnus tossed and turned wide awake, unable to sleep, his dark thoughts churning.
If I had a real sword, Father'd never hit us again.
If he heard you say that,
you'd never breathe again.
The next morning, early. Tradecraft Day, an annual Hessen tradition, a holiday celebrating the hard work ethics of a proud, industrious people.
Get out here, Yo. Time to leave.
Godi had risen with the chickens, eager to spend the celebratory day with his father. Yet Yonnus dallied. The thought of spending more time with his father was as unappealing as it was boring. The last thing Yonnus wanted to be was a blacksmith. Suddenly, doing chores at home, mucking the stables or sweeping the smithy, didn't seem all that bad.
Cece wants to go.
No, you need to keep Cece safe.
Yonnus felt eyes burning and chanced one last look. His mother and sister watched, silent, as if they knew something. The same story played out all over Hesse. Men took their sons to work while their wives and daughters wished them well. On down the road. The clink and clatter of metalworks cargo hummed away as the wagon trundled slowly to its destination. Beyond Augstat's southern gate, the demarcation line between city and rural living, they entered Pallenhessen-Kreise, Augstat's agriculture and farming district.
Yonnus, look at me. Today will be fun for you. I promise.
Fi, what are we gonna do?
You'll see.
Oh, ew!
You'll get used to the smell.
The stockyards and the repulsive stench of manure and death. As the Octoni men approached a large barn,
If she dies, you die. If you die, I've got to do the paperwork.
they could hear shouting, angry voices. They were met by a gruff foreman managing the day's issues.
Hunt! These are my sons, Godi and Yonnus.
Very good. I hope you ate well this morning. We are going to need every ounce of energy you can summon.
They're young. They'll get through on enthusiasm alone.
Open up!
The doors swung wide to reveal a thriving industry. A new, even fouler reek assailed the brothers. A slave market. Scared and helpless, packed into dirty, foul pens. Slaves of every race, ethnicity, gender, and age.
Smell worse than cattle, don't they? Time to get to work.
And the clink and clatter from the wagon that Yo had been hearing all morning? Slave irons.
Slavery's big business, boys. Always remember that. Put food on our table.
If I lose one more piece of merchandise because of you, I'll dock you a week's pay. Jesus. Worthless now.
Yonnus had never seen a dead person before. She couldn't have been much older than he was.
Those tags are filthy.
Yonnus wondered how much his mother knew. Calloused men working alongside Yonnus and Godi were in good spirits, apparently unconcerned that they were in the business of trafficking humans, elves, and who knows what else. Yonnus assisted in unloading the wagon, stunned by the discovery that his family business supplied the slave trade. Broken old shackles and chains, all in need of repair, were gathered, organized, and loaded back into the wagon. The volume of work required to fix the dilapidated equipment would keep Yarborg busy for a month or even months. How many slaves would need to be sold to pay for the repairs? 1? 2? More? Several long, hard hours later,
Come on, boys. Now's the best part of the day.
Yarborg gathered his boys for the day's main event.
Help yourself.
Nearby, a grand banquet had been prepared for the workers. A feast fit for a Koenig, all in celebration of Tradecraft Day.
Look at all this food, and you're not hungry.
But Yonnus couldn't get the dead girl out of his mind.
No, it's just... I don't know.
Had she starved? So much food, and none of it for the slaves. But for these workers, food and drink flowed without end.
In honor of Tradecraft Day, break up, you sons of bitches!
Everyone was encouraged to celebrate. Everyone.
Tradecraft Day means we get to celebrate. You earned it. Just don't tell your mother.
Good.
Of course it is.
Godi and Yonnus had never partaken in the consumption of ale until now.
You don't drink? Don't be scared. Drink enough of that and you'll grow a beard like your brother.
Fine.
Excellent.
Several voracious hours later, the party had not dulled.
The room spins. The whole world spins.
All manner of desires, food, drink, tobacco, and, the main course complete, the dessert was led in.
Entertainment has arrived!
Sex slaves. Terrified humans and elves, whipped and dragged through a gauntlet of jeering onlookers, were treated as less valuable than orcs.
Father, what's going on?
I'm to become a man. Follow me.
Yarborg pulled the girls roughly to nearby stables. Drunken men were already busy taking turns.
No.
Godi was first up.
Go ahead, son. Enter a boy, come out a man.
He apprehensively drew back the curtain.
If she makes a fuss, give her a good slap. Don't disappoint me.
Godi's slave girl cried, followed by a sharp... Yonnus's turn. Calla, a young Tavjan with piercing blue eyes, held his gaze. Defiant. She too couldn't have been much older than Yonnus. Despite the rags, the grime, and the dirt, she had strength, a dignity about her.
Father, no.
Don't you want to be a man?
This isn't right.
Godi staggered out and spilled his guts.
What are you doing? Stay in there until you're finished with her.
I am finished.
Oh, well, in time you'll learn to last longer. Take her tag. Not for me, you idiot. You keep it. It's a souvenir. Get in there or I'll go in there with you and show you how it's done.
Just do it. It's not so bad.
For you or for her?
You'd rather die then? 'Cause I'd prefer a dead son over the snot-nosed
I'm looking at? Taking strength from the slave girl, Yonnus stood resolute. Just the same, fathers are often forced to make hard decisions.
Bend her over.
Pointedly, when sons won't heed their counsel.
It's okay.
No, it was not okay.
Fine. I'll get her started.
Yarborg was left no choice but to teach by example. Yonnus had been on the receiving end of his father's brutality, but this, forcing himself onto an innocent girl, a lifetime of pent-up anger erupted.
Father!
Yonnus had no idea where he was going, only that he was going, and she was going with him.
Wait, I have a brother. I can't leave him.
There's no time. Once my father tells the others.
Please. I'll die without my brother.
Brothers. If the situation were reversed, he knew for damn sure Godi would not return for him. Still, her pleading eyes... Yonnus had to at least try. The pungent stench of bond-kept slaves stung their noses.
Lons!
Lons, Calla's fraternal twin.
Calla?
His riveting Tavjan blue eyes glistened in the darkness. Best not to think, and in so doing, Yonnus did the unthinkable.
Hurry!
Run! You're free!
Once the slaves sensed freedom, chaos exploded, catching the slavers woefully off guard. Total anarchy reigned supreme. Like rats off a sinking ship, they scattered, heading for the proverbial hills. Godi staggered as he cut off their escape route, still heavily inebriated. If father found out that he'd let Yo get away, it'd be the end of everything. Or worse. Seemingly left with no choice, he lifted the sword to the on-guard position. A violent tool for violent purposes.
What are you doing? Father's going to kill you.
Their sibling rivalry, one of Yonnus constantly being bullied, finally came to a head.
Only if he catches me.
I can't let you go.
Goti, this isn't right. What if she was Yasmin? Would you still want to stop me?
You! Stop!
Angry slavers were fast approaching. Yonnus's words shot deep into Godi like tusks from an Ardayan rhino. He eased his grip. And Yo reacted, taking an attack of opportunity. The twins reacted in kind, first retrieving the fallen blade, then discarding their vile slave tags before triumphantly following Yonnus to freedom.
Goodbye, brother.
Maybe you win for once.
That evening, a gray chill cast a pall over Augstat. The Hessen city hunkered down, doors locked, shutters battened, fires burning, souls hidden from the storm. But not everyone had a warm hearth and home. Drenched and tired, the young companions entered Boars, Kreise, a district in the south end of Augstat. A popular place for immigrants and the working class. The wrong side of the river, the wrong side of town, the wrong side of everything.
Where are you taking us?
Father always said, nothing good ever happens in Boars Kreise.
In rain-slick alleys and garbage-littered doorways, the trio sought refuge from the miserable weather and equally miserable lives.
No one will look for us. Here.
Despite the drear, Boars Kreise welcomed any who wished to breathe free. Little did our wayward heroes realize they were being watched, measured and weighed, their predilections assessed. This particularly keen eye took notice of all goings-on in Boars' Kreise, especially those of juvenile vagrants who could be up to no good.
Where are we?
Butcher shop, I think.
No, I mean, what city?
Augstat.
Those eyes had seen enough. A gruff dwarf, older than dust and twice senior to time, startled the three. His bald skull, covered in sacred tattoos of yesteryear, marked him as a dwarven outcast. Augerfeld, the butcher of the boar.
You okay, Missy?
I'm fine. They're friends.
His gaze dropped to her neck and the symbol that marked her as a slave.
Friends? Or escaped slaves? Wait here.
Let's go. He's calling the slavers on us.
Shit. Too bloody late. Before they could run, he was back with a cloak and a bag.
Welcome to Boars' Kreise. It's reasonably safe, but stay away from them black daggers. They're trouble, you hear? Some table scraps in there. Now off with your Kleins!
A benevolent gesture? Doubtful. The dwarf just wanted trouble off his stoop. Several waterlogged streets later, the three new citizens of the Boar huddled together for their first meal. Freedom never tasted so soggy.
Spare some coppers, friend?
The three friends learned hard lessons.
You urchins are a disgrace. Find some honest work.
Homeless youths in any city are not welcome. But most important, survival required three things: food, shelter,
Meine Spot! You hear me?
and clothing. They soon became pretty crafty, acquiring all three. Mostly. But then, weeks turned into months. And street life took its toll.
What do you think cat tastes like?
Chicken. Everyone knows that.
Extreme hunger can play tricks with the mind, transforming a common house pet into a feast.
I love chicken. Give me the sword. I'm going after that cat.
She was kidding.
Like I would ever eat a cat. Don't be so gullible.
If you told me cats tasted like bugbear stew, my mouth would still water from hunger.
Sorry. Just trying to lighten the mood. We are near dead. If it weren't for you, we'd still be in the slave pens.
Yes. Gratitude, brother.
You're welcome. Both of you.
It's important to keep our sense of humor, though, and I reserve the right to with you when you least expect it.
As long as I can with you in return.
Despite the hardship of street life, friendship and freedom sustained the young refugees. Late one evening, the city was on edge. Loud voices argued, doors slammed, followed by a child's shrill cry. Packs of roving street predators hunted for their next meal. From the shadows, something new. Something not quite natural came to the boar. A bitter wind carried a stone, cold whisper. An unnatural rush of silence suddenly started Calla awake, even as the boys slept, unaware. Her heart leapt into her throat. She dove for the sword. A disconcerting stillness settled over the alley, drowning out the abrasive city beyond. Silence. Calm. She knew she should wake Lons and Yo, but something prevented her from doing just that. Something was out there, just beyond her periphery.
Who's there? I have a sword.
Calla saw nothing. She heard nothing. But what she felt, she never told anyone. Mid-morning the next day. The hot sun cooked the alley something fierce, like a blood summoner's cauldron on the Feast of All Hallows Day. The sun was already high overhead when Yo slowly woke to Lon's cry and the reek of impending death.
Oh my god. Calla!
Calla lay unconscious in a pool of her own blood, her features twisted sharply, frozen in pain.
What happened?
I just woke and found her like this.
Is she dead?
Calla was barely clinging to precious life. Stricken with terror and fearing for Calla,
come on!
They ran. They ran out of the alley, into the streets, and into danger.
Mr. Tannis, what in God's name is going on out there?
A mishap, sir. A vagrant ran in front of the carriage.
The boys' mad dash for help had sent them headlong into the path of Lotari von Cronenberg, a Pfalzgraf on his way to the Rathaus for a council meeting with local city officials.
What in blazes?
Please, help us.
A few frightful hours later, at the Cronenberg Herrenhaus, Pfalzgraf Lotari von Cronenberg's estate home. The boys waited outside with the rest of the animals. They were used to being outsiders, doubly so in the elite world of luxury estates, amid the Herren and the Frauen. They milled about aimlessly, and every so often stared at the wealth that surrounded them. Posh, probably priceless windows, marble statues, and lush manicured gardens. Calla was inside, but she might just as well have been 1,000 miles away. They knew nothing yet of her condition. Eventually, the homeless youths were allowed in, but under the supervision of the Pfalzgraf's butler, Tannis. Once indoors, time progressed even slower, like the endless Fimbulwinter of legend. Idle and active hands summon the devil's work, so the saying went. Tannis returned. As the head butler, he ran a tight ship. No hair. He did not abide devilwork, demon shenanigans, or teenage tomfoolery. Eventually, Pfalzgraf Cronenberg returned. Yo and Lons had never met, nor to their recollection ever even seen a noble before. And here they were actually speaking to one, in his home no less. And now, Calla's life was in this Pfalzgraf's hands.
How's Calla?
Your sister has lost a lot of blood.
Will she live?
It's touchy, but I believe so. My personal physician is looking after her. She's in good hands.
Oh, thank you, Master Cronenberg.
Call me Lotari.
If there's anything I can do ever to repay you...
Perhaps we should discuss that. Won't you join me, gentlemen? Tell the kitchen to bring food.
Jawohl, as you wish.
I run a small, thriving business. Sadly, due to high turnover, I always am looking for new blood. Ever heard of the Black Daggers?
Everyone has heard of the Black Daggers, sir.
They're assassins.
And thieves.
Good. Then I don't need to explain what I'm asking of you.
You offering us jobs?
Nothing so chivalrous as that. I'm providing you a way to repay me for saving Calla's life. Send in Mr. Dancer.
A halfling interrupted the boy's meal. An arrogant pint-sized bottle of trouble sauntered in. Dancer Dowiggle, Lotari's chief lieutenant. He had the sharp eyes of a spy and the mouth of a pig.
Who the f*** are these two?
New recruits. Put them to work. Make sure they earn their keep.
An Ardayan and Tavjan slave. Have our standards gone completely to shite?
If you're not up to the task, I'll find someone who is.
The task? Yo and Lons were about to receive an abrupt lesson in what it meant to be recruited into the Black Daggers.
Well, what the hell are you waiting for? Move your smelly asses!
Sir, what about my sister?
Looking the part of a princess rather than a slave, Calla slept, peacefully oblivious to the dangers lurking in her opulent surroundings.
Don't worry. I'll watch over Calla as if she was the most precious thing in the world.
I much prefer 3.5. The simplification of skirmish formations was long overdue.